بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا وعظيمنا وحبيب قلوبنا وشفيع نفوسنا أبا القاسم محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الصادقين. الحمد لله الذي جعلنا من المتمسكين بولاية سيدي ومولاي علي بن أبي طالب. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. أما بعد، يقول الله في كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. The first of our loud salawat in honor of Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. The second in honor of Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib. The third with your loudest voices in honor of Imam Sahib al-Asr wal-Zaman. Respected scholars, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. The fast of Ashura is viewed by many as one of the most controversial acts of worship in the religion of Islam. And indeed is an act of worship which is discussed on a wide variety of levels by many Islamic scholars and academics around the world today. And is therefore an act of worship that requires a thorough dissection and an analysis which examines it from a wide variety of angles. Because it's an act of worship which has both a historical basis and a contemporary significance. In terms of its contemporary significance, we find that many around the world today are taught to fast on the day of Ashura, and that many are told that the most beloved fast to the Holy Prophet after the fast of the holy month of Ramadan is the fast of Ashura, and that they are told that the fast of Ashura provides expiation for the previous 1 year of sin. And therefore you find many parts of the Islamic world today will come on the 10th of Muharram and will actually engage in a fast on that day. And therefore there is a need to understand the basis of the fast of Ashura and where this particular act of worship came from, and whether this act of worship is recognized by all schools in Islam or only by certain schools. Because when we look at this particular act, when one examines it, allows us to delve into many Islamic and non-Islamic sciences, Islamic and non-Islamic sources, Islamic and non-Islamic areas of knowledge. Because such an act will allow us, for example, to study the world of history, as well as the world of hadith. Yet at the same time, there is a need for us to study the Arabic calendar, and the Islamic calendar, and the Jewish calendar. Why? Because the idea is given that the fast of Ashura originates from Yom Najat Musa wa Bani Israel. And the idea that the fasting on the day of Ashura originates because of God saving Moses and the children of Israel. And therefore there is a need for us to analyze the Jewish calendar and see whether the saving of the children of Israel with Prophet Musa corresponds with the 10th of Muharram. And that would need us to delve into the Jewish calendar, the Islamic calendar, the Arabic calendar, as well as delve into the world of history and examine history as a science. Because there is no fast which is given as much propaganda as the fast of Ashura. For example, when you go to certain Gulf states in the world today, in the Khalij, you will go there and you will find lectures are devoted to the fast of Ashura. That when it comes to the 10th of Muharram, the Imams will come to the pulpit and will speak about the fast of Ashura, the importance of the fast of Ashura, the recommendations of the fast of Ashura, the significance of the fast of Ashura. And indeed, you think to yourself that there were many other events which happened on the 10th of Muharram, which those Imams can speak about, because in history, many events occurred on the 10th of Muharram. For example, Nabi Ibrahim was saved from Nimrud and the fire on the 10th of Muharram. Nabi Nuh and his people were saved on the 10th of Muharram. Nabi Ayyub's illness was cured on the 10th of Muharram. Nabi Yaqub's eyesight returned to him on the 10th of Muharram. All these incidents occurred on the 10th of Muharram. Yet why the focus on the fast of Ashura? Why the focus on Yom Najat Musa wa Bani Israel? Why are there so many leaflets written encouraging people to fast on Ashura? So many booklets, so many DVDs available in the Gulf states, which are spread around the world recommending people to remember the fast of Ashura. Because as we know, the media, when it works, it can change the mindset of any group of people it wants. And if the media machinery is strong enough, it may allow a person to think of one day in relation to an event for the rest of their life. Because when this media machinery tells me that Ashura is important because the children of Israel and Nabi Musa were saved, then my mindset whenever I would hear about the 10th of Muharram would be only this. That's why you find that there are certain countries which encourage people to get married on Ashura. Why? Because they say in the same way that God saved Moses and the children of Israel, God will also provide you with blessings on your day. And which better day to fast than the 10th of Muharram, or the day known as Ashura. Therefore, when we examine the basis of the fast of Ashura, how do we examine it? Number one, what is the importance of fasting in all religions? Number two, where is this hadith mentioned about the fast of Ashura? In which books? And who narrates this hadith? And what is their history? Number three, according to the Arabs, what is the meaning of the word Ashura? Does it only have one meaning? Or does it have several meanings? Does it have an old meaning? And does it have a new meaning? Number four, according to the Jewish calendar, was there such a day where the Jews fast, which corresponds to the 10th of Muharram? Number five, when did the Arabic calendar begin? And how does this coincide with this particular hadith? Number six, why would Rasulullah want to copy that which the Jews or the children of Israel have done? Number seven, are there other areas of the Sunnah which have been neglected or which have not been raised as high as the fast of Ashura? Number eight, what is the concept of secondary law according to the fast of Ashura? And number nine, what do Al-Muhammad say about fasting on Ashura? When we examine in this depth, we'll be able to dissect this topic from a number of angles. Let's look at the first area. When we look at the importance of fasting, we find that fasting is a universal act of worship. That it's not only restricted to the religion of Islam, that there are many in the world today who fast, who are not necessarily belonging to the religion of Islam. For example, when you look at Judaism, you will find that the Jews have many different festivals in which they fast. For example, Yom Kippur is a day of fasting for the Jews. For example, the Passover is a day of fasting for the Jews. For example, the Jews, the 10th month in the Jewish calendar is called Tevet. Many Jews fast on the 10th day of the 10th month. Why? Because when Nebuchadnezzar came forward and destroyed the temples of Jerusalem, there were many Jews who came forward and fasted in honor of those temples which were destroyed. Therefore you find in Judaism that until today, many Jews fast. Many Christians fast as well. Why? On the idea that fasting is that which brings purity to the soul of the human being. On the idea that fasting allows us to remember many of our brethren who may not be as well off as we are. Therefore in Christianity, in the period of communion, or just before communion, you find that there are many Catholics in the world today who will fast. That it's not the best idea to offer a Catholic food 1 hour before communion, because there are many of them who are fasting. Likewise, we find in Buddhism, in the Buddhist concept of spirituality, many Buddhist monks fast in the afternoon. You will find, for example, many of the Tibetan monks, when it comes to the time of the afternoon, many of them will engage in fasting. You will find, for example, the Hindus, many of them will fast at certain festivals. Likewise, we find that fasting is not only restricted to the world religions, that sometimes fasting may be a stand of a human being against oppression. That's why Mahatma Gandhi, when he used to fast, he was known to fast because it was his stand against the oppression of the British Empire, against colonialist rule.